right now we have Julie Fisk with us. Julie, thank you for joining me.
It's such a pleasure to be here.
Same for me. So it's a dream come true for me. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Well, let's see. I grew up in Big Lake, Minnesota, and I now live in St. Cloud with my husband and my 2 children. My children are now in middle school, so I officially have a teenager. So I'm entering into that.
Dangerous waters.
Dangerous waters. It's been really good. I am an attorney by trade, so I practiced for 15 years, and then about 4 years ago, I started writing a book while I was practicing and mothering, and my husband had a career, and so something had to give. And so I stopped actively practicing about 4 years ago. So,
yeah.
And now I write devotionals. I write with 2 other women, and so there's a trio of us, and it's wonderful. I love it.
And so what kind of a devotional, is it just geared towards women, or kind of what do you write?
We've written several. We started writing to women. We write the books we wish we had. And so our first devotional was on kindness, because we had small children at that time, and we were struggling at Christmas time with what does it look like to love Jesus during Christmas, and how do we do that well? And so we decided to do kindness during Advent is what we did. And we got done with that, and we loved that experiment so much that Kristen said, let's do kindness for a year. And we were like, oh, that is actually very difficult to do. It's challenging to be kind, intentionally kind. And so we did that, and we were introduced to Tyndale, and they said, could you make that into a devotional? And we were like, sure, we'll try that. And so that was our first. And then after that, we wrote a devotional on friendship for women, because again, we're realizing friendship is such a need for women. And as we were in process of writing that book, we realized that so much of friendship heartache starts in middle school. And so we went back to our publisher and said, could we write a friendship devotional for girls? And so we wrote 100 Days of Friendship for Girls, kind of 8 to 12-ish. And so now we're working on one on gratitude. So, which, you don't realize, but like when you're in the process of writing, there's this refining that happens. And so it's like, oh, if I'm going to write something on gratitude, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to learn maybe where I have not been as grateful as I should.
Sure, I was going to ask, you must yourself grow tremendously as you're going through this process.
When we were writing the kindness book, I would tell my husband, I am not a kind person. I would realize, it really would hit me right between the eyes some days where I would just mess up and think, how can you be writing this book? And then just flub it so incredibly bad. But God is the God of second chances, and we get a new day. And so you learn oh, yeah, that was maybe not what I should have done. Lord, I need to be able to do that again. Can I have a second chance? So there's been a lot of growth in the process of writing.
Yeah. I know sometimes I think too, who am I to be able to talk about Jesus? I fail every day.
Absolutely. Just fail forward. That's what we say. Just try to fail forward. So try to learn from it and do a little better next time.
Yeah. So how do you research a devotional and come up with what you're, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Writing it.
Yes. So we're storytellers is what we are, but we tell our stories our stories are short, and so every word matters. But we love to tell the stories of other women. And so that's what we've done. With each of our devotionals, we tell our own stories, things that we've encountered and failures that we've had. We're very honest. This is not girls who've arrived and are here to tell all of the rest of you how to do it. It's hey, come join us as we learn to do this. And so we're honest about where we failed. But there is something sacred about having the opportunity to share the story of somebody else too. And so you'll see that in our devotionals. And so we just start to hunt for it. So, as I'm writing about gratitude, I'm looking for it. Everywhere I go, what is there to be grateful in this circumstance? What, in this hard thing, what silver lining is there? And it makes you pay attention to life in a very different way. I love it. I love it.
Nice. And now I was looking on your website, and you have something called the Ruth Experience. What is that?
So Kristen, Kendra, and I write. We're a trio of authors, but we are collectively known as the Ruth Experience, and it really comes from the story of friendship of Ruth and Naomi in Scripture. And it's my favorite story of friendship because it was, again, it's going to go back to this idea: two women living alongside one another, and when Ruth was struggling, Naomi was there for her, and when Naomi was struggling, Ruth was there for her. And so they together push, and of course with God, but push and pull each other. And God's in the middle of it, right, and redeems this entire story. And so that's what we're discovering is when you're in healthy, strong friendship and community with other women, it's so powerful and transformational. And so we've created an online community. And that's the Ruth Experience, and that's the heart of it, is this idea of women being 100% for one another and understanding that God is for you both, and He will take care of both of you. There's no competition needed, and we just go so much further together.
Wow, I need to read that. Those devotionals. So thank you for joining us today, and thank you for doing what you do. And we do need some encouragement sometimes. So.
We do. And as women, as people, being in healthy community is just, I think, one of God's greatest blessings for us when we have strong friendships who hold us accountable, but then we can also just laugh like loons with, right? Like both of that. Yeah. So thank you so much for having me.
Yes, thank you.